Okay, so social psychology is something that when I heard about it, it sounded really interesting for me. So it's the study of how people think and how they relate to other people or to another organization. Social psychology is more of how a group relates to another group, or how a group is influenced by another group or organization. While social psychology is more individually, like me individually, how do I relate to this other person, or how am I influenced by this other person. um, so bystander effect, something that it was really interesting to me when I was reading about it. It's the tendency of how we are less likely to help someone in need when there's more people around. This actually came from the story of this lady whose name is Kitty. And the people who came up with the bystander effect were the social psychologists John Darley and Bibb Latani. And the story was that there was this young lady who she came out of work around 3 o'clock in the morning. She went home, and as I was reading about this guy named Mosley who he left his house around 1 o'clock in the morning, and he was just driving around. He was looking for someone to kill him, and as he was driving around, he saw her passing by. So he made a U-turn, and then he starts following her. As she gets close to her apartment, she parks near some railroads, and then he parks there as well. Then she gets off her car. She starts walking to her apartment, and then he starts following her. And as she hears the footsteps, she notices that someone is following her. So she starts running as fast as she could, and eventually he caught up to her. As he caught up to her, he started stabbing her on her back. And then so as she got stabbed, she yelled, "Oh God, I've been stabbed!" And then the scene happened. Let's say the scene happened here, and there were some apartments. So this across the street, there were some apartments, and there were like three buildings or so. And someone from the top building said, "Hey, what's going on down there?" And then, as mostly the criminal, the guy who had stabbed her, he heard this man and he ran away. Um, she tried getting up. She tried to get to her apartment, but she couldn't. She was really bad wounded, and so she collapsed before. So she got to the stairs of her apartment, but she collapsed there. So mostly the criminal, he sat in his car. He was apparently he didn't hear any police sirens. He didn't see any people coming down to see if the girl was okay. So since he was a criminal, he had killed other people before. So he was determined to come back and finish the job that he had started. So he comes back for her, and he finds her there on the floor, and he raped her. He steals her money, and then he started stabbing her in the throat. Um, and then he leaves the scene. Um, Later, she is found by one of the neighbors, and she dies on her way to the hospital. So, how does the bystander effect relate to the story? This is actually the origin of the bystander effect. Um, so this this news reporter, he wrote a newspaper, and he wrote about 38 people watching the scene for 30 straight minutes and not doing completely nothing about it. But as researchers saw this, they really dig into the story, and they came to a conclusion that 38 people could not watch the total scene for 30 minutes. Because if you're in this side, if one of the scenes happen on this side, and then the builders on this side, of course they're right in front of each other. They see what's going on. But when she was going towards her apartment after being stabbed the first time, she went around the corner, which means that these people on this side could not see what was going on the other side anymore. So they came to a conclusion that 38 people could not have watched the whole scene for 30 minutes. But something that really stuck out was that nobody called the police. Nobody came down to help her. Some neighbors did say that they heard her scream. Some of them saw something going on, but it wasn't really clear. But still, they didn't come to help her, even though she was screaming. And that's something that it blows my mind. How can we not help someone when we see that they're in need? And then when we talk about the diffusion of responsibility theory, so it's when a person is less likely to take responsibility or action when there's more people around. Um, we could see someone laying down. It's just like attribution it's when we just think that someone else is gonna do our job. When we see someone laying down and we see, oh, someone else can do it. That's what happened. We sometimes sometimes maybe we can see someone laying down and we can see that they need medical help, and we say, oh, we don't know anything about medicine, we don't know how to help them. Or sometimes we just assume that someone else is gonna do what we are supposed to do. We assume that someone else is gonna take our position, or that someone else is gonna see that the person needs help and that they're gonna come around down and help them. So so de-individuation is where the process of transformation whereby the personal and collective unconscious are brought into consciousness. So an example of this that I read was Black Friday. Our actions are related to other people. So for example, Black Friday, since on that night everybody goes to the stores, everybody goes out screaming, they all stay in line for hours the night before just to get what they need on the store. This started with one person, so we follow that. Humans follow what other people do. So this just really it really amazes me, because as a person who is supposed to follow her religion, as a person who it's supposed to help others in need, I it's really amazing how we can just see someone in need and not help them. That is just crazy. When I thought about this, I actually got into a situation related to it, and I saw the person in need, and I was, no, I'm not gonna let that beat me. I need to help this person. I don't care who else is around. I need to help them. So I think that for me, this really spoke to me in the way that I need to make sure that I don't do that. I need to make sure that I help the person. It's related to my religion, but more about how humans need to help each other. And if I don't start helping, then nobody else will. If we actually are influenced by other people, then I need to make that step and I need to make that choice to help someone so I can influence someone else. Thank you.